Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we're back to working on the restoration of our little Emmert 6A Toolmakers Vise. Previously, we had taken that thing apart, got it cleaned up, degreased, and over in the evapor-rust tank to get all the rust and stuff off of it. I think we'll start off today's video with showing you again a before picture, before going into the evapor-rust tank, and then we're going to pull it out and finish up this restoration. So come along for the ride. Let's finish this job up. All right, we've got all the grease and stuff cleaned off this that I could get to, and I'm just going to take all these parts now, put them in a bucket over here, and I'm going to let all this soak in my evapor-rust tank overnight. And that should dissolve any rust that's on any of these parts. I think everything will fit down in this 5-gallon bucket more or less. The little small hardware stuff I'll keep out just so I don't lose it in the tank. All right, I'm going to take this stuff up to the other shop where my tank is and drop that in there, and we'll pull it out tomorrow. Well, I let this stuff soak in the evapor-rust tank. It was actually for 2 days. It was just that long before I had time to get it back out. Once I did, I just simply went over to the sink, rinsed everything off, used a little Scotch-Brite pad to just real lightly go over everything. And it did an excellent job of getting this thing cleaned off. While normally evapor-rust really doesn't do a whole lot to remove paint, in this case, what little bit of paint that was on this was in pretty rough shape to begin with. It actually took most of that off as well. I don't really recommend evapor-rust as a paint remover, but sometimes you get lucky, at least in the case of this. If you don't want your paint removed, I wouldn't put it in there, but most of the time the paint survives. But in this case it didn't. But again, that helped me because I had to get the paint off anyway. So I think next I need to tape a bunch of this stuff up and get it ready for some paint. And you know, I really don't even think I need to do much wire wheeling or anything like that. There's a couple places I may hit it with a wire wheel, but it's really, I think it's ready for paint pretty much like it is right out of the evapor-rust. All right, I think that's pretty much painted up here. I'm gonna let this cure for a while. There's a couple of pieces that need to be flipped over and painted on the other side. We'll let this dry a little bit first. And I'm actually going out of town this week, so I'm just gonna let this stuff sit around and kind of cure for about a week before we try to do anything with it. And it should be ready to go back together. We have allowed our paint to dry. I've been gone for a few days, so this has had plenty of time to cure. So I want to go ahead and get all the masking tape off and get this thing ready to start putting back together. See what else we need to do here. On this swivel base here, I'm just going to take a stone. Make sure we got that good and smooth, and there are a bunch of high spots on there, I can tell. We're going to stone them down, and that'll really make this thing a lot smoother turning around. We'll do the same thing on the mating part as well. That is much better. All right. Got these jaws. Put some covers on these jaws. And one thing I'm going to comment on here is I was talking with a guy that's got one of these vices, and one thing that I noticed on mine is, you know, I've got the two jaws here, and I was kind of like, why are they the same? Why are these basically the same jaws? Why would we have two of the same thing on here? And he told me on his that one set of jaws is made out of copper or brass, and one of them made out of steel, and that way you had a set of soft jaws. And I like that concept. Makes a lot more sense than just having two jaws that are made out of the same material. So I'm probably going to see if I can pull one set of these off. On the other side, one of the jaws is missing, or one of the inserts for the jaws is missing. So I'll find the one that matches that one, pulled it off on this side, and we're going to make a set of, it'll either be copper or brass. I might go, copper's a little bit softer, but I don't think I've got any copper to make those out of. I think I got some brass. I'll just have to look around the shop and see what we got. So that's all done. Let's here's the other jaw, and get it taken apart, or all the masking off. All right, let's look here. I think, just looking at these jaws, that is the one that matches this one. Yep. Got our pins on this one. This is the jaw that we need to pull off. And that looks like it might be some type of softer material, but I think I'm going to see if I can get those screws out. If you notice over here on the matching one, it's missing altogether. We'll do that in a minute, but let's see if we can get those screws out and get that jaw off. Let's finish getting all this tape out of here though. All right, I want to also, while I'm in here, we got some surfaces in here that have some sliding mating faces, so I'm going to stone those, and we knocked some high spots down in there for sure. Same thing on this side. These are those mating surfaces that are going on the inside there. All right, and on this bottom as well, it's going to circle around on that piece we stoned first. All right, I need to try to get these screws out, and I don't know how much trouble this is going to be. I think what I'm going to do is I've got a set here of left-hand drill bits. These drill bits turn in a left-hand fashion. They're cut in a left-hand fashion, whereas a regular drill bit is going to turn in a right-hand fashion. And what these are really good for is sometimes you can get them to back a screw out that's stuck. So we're going to center punch these as close to the center of that hole as I can find. Use that left-hand drill bit, and as we're drilling that hole out, it's turning it in the direction that's going to unscrew it. And with luck, it just unscrews itself. If you don't have luck, it gets a lot more complicated. So let me get a hammer, and we'll center punch these and be ready to roll. That's pretty close. Not as close as it looks, but it'll work. All right. All right, we will put our drill in reverse and see if we can't get lucky. All right, we got a little bit of a hole started, so I'm going to try an easy out. Oh, look at there. I think it's just spinning off though. It just sheared off the top of that bolt, but maybe we can at least get that cap out of there. See what happens on this side. It's probably the same thing. Yep, it just sheared off. But that's progress. But if we have to, and it looks like we are, we'll drill these out and just retap them. No big deal. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that. That's a 1/4 inch. So let me get a number 7 drill bit, and we'll just go ahead and drill those out. All right, that's got one of them out. All right. And this is just a 1/4 tap. And it feels like it's actually picked up on the threads that were in there before, and it's just kind of cleaning them out. All right, one down. Here we go again. I think it again picked up on those previous threads pretty well. I think we did a pretty good job of getting down close to the center of that hole anyway. I saw a little bit of cast iron drilling out, but most of what was drilling out was the steel from those screws. There we go. All right, I think we got our holes tapped. Everything looks good there. So all we gotta do now is make a new set of jaws for these, and I'll probably do that in a separate video. And I think we are ready to put this thing back together. So we'll start at the base and work our way up. I've got this little wedge-shaped bolt that goes up in here. There's a matching taper up in here. And on the bottom, we got a hole that allows us to get that in there. And then this, more or less, just slides around in there. I want to put a little grease in there, just give it a little bit of lubrication, make things a little smoother. So this is just some Teflon grease. I keep a jar of it out here in the shop, and we're just going to put a little bit down here in the on that little dovetail, and that should help this thing slide around a little bit. We don't need to go crazy with the grease, but a little bit will surely help. And also, I'm going to put a little bit on these surfaces where they mate. I'm not putting too much, just a little thin layer there. There we go. And then this casting, we got the screw will go through there. There's a pin in the very center. In fact, let's put a little grease on that too. Put some down in here. The pin is what it rotates on. There we go. And that is working good. On the side here, we've got a little, actually it's not that one. This handle goes in here. There we go. Is that right? Yeah. And somewhere I have the nut that went on that. I'm gonna have to dig that up. Let me find that. See if I can find the original. If not, I'll put a different one on there. I dug around over here and found these nuts that were on here. There's 2 of them, and they basically work like jam nuts and allows you to adjust that where it needs to be. So we'll get the first one on, get it down where it needs to be. There we go. See, that's loose. That lets it spin. You put it there, and that locks it in place. So we'll put the other jam nut on top of it. That one is about where it needs to be. This top one's being a little bit stubborn. One flat is kind of hitting the vise as it goes around. Barely. We'll get it on there. And what I'm going to do here is we'll just take a wrench, put on the bottom nut down here, and then we're going to jam the top nut in place, and that will prevent those nuts. So basically lock them on that bolt where they won't go up and down, and that way it'll stay in adjustment all the time. So that looks good. All right, let's continue on. So next we're going to mount our block back in here where it goes. That's kind of fits right there, but again, I want to put just a little bit of grease in here just to kind of help it move around. I don't want a real thick layer, but a little bit will definitely help this thing move a little bit better. So that's the goal. Put some on both sides. All right, and goes in there like such, and this pin is going to go all the way through, and I think I'm going to put a little bit of grease on that too. Sure, not going to hurt anything. There we go. And then this mounts on this side. And you can adjust that wherever you want it to go. There we go. So up next will be our rotating jaw, and again I'm going to put a little grease in here. There's kind of two areas in here where that rotates on, and I'm also going to put a little bit on this face around it because it's going to also be coming in direct contact with that face. So that'll just kind of help lube things up a little bit. And there we go. And we got our little detent pin. Goes in here. Drops down right there. And our little spring that goes on top. We got a screw here. It just screws in and holds that in place. All right, and as that turns, you can see it catches in a little detent, and that'll just kind of help hold it in place. Very good. Well, I see something I should have done before I put that other piece on. This is the screw that the jaws go through. Let's see if I can get that in there without having to take it all back apart. I think I'm going to have to pull the screw out up here. Let's see, get that out of the way. I think that'll fit in there now. Well, that'll make it easier. So that's basically, there's a key that locks that in place, and there's two screws, these two right here, that hold that in place. This is what the screw for the vise actually runs in. So let me go ahead and put that back in there. Should have been done first, but hey, we're figuring it out as we go. All right. And we'll put this back on now. I think we're back where we were. All right. Now, let's get our main screw put back together here. So what we got here is our screw goes up in here like such. And there is a collar right here that slides up over this. See, it goes in the other way, I believe. And right up here, there's a indent for a screw. And we have a little socket cap or set screw that goes down in there. Let me get my socket cap screw wrench. Get that right over that hole. There we go. I think, well, there it is. And again, put some grease on my screw down here. We'll put a fair amount down in there. I want that to be lubricated pretty well. And also on this, because that's going to be sliding in and out. Don't want to go overboard, but want to make sure we got, again, just a little bit of lubrication. You can really see that braze repair. Very nice repair. I'm not sure if that wasn't done at the factory. And so notice you got this slot here. There is a slot in the back, and that kind of makes sure that these jaws rotate and stay in line with one another. Let me get that to line up just right. There it goes. And we'll pull that screw in. And with that, I think we have restored this vise. All right, I got this just clamped down with some C-clamps just so we can demonstrate it again. But obviously the jaws rotate around. We're going to make some soft jaws to go in there. It'll be a separate video. We have these pin jaws, which you can get if you got something you need to clamp on the inside of something. I've also heard that they had some rotating jaws that would fit down on this as an option. I've never seen them. I've heard people talk about them. If anybody's got some of those, let me know. I might see if I can get some patterns made and have some cast, but I don't know exactly what they look like. And I don't know for 100% certain that that's even true. Let's see, that's getting real tight going that direction. And there's our regular jaws that will probably be used most of the time. And of course we can loosen this up and adjust this to any angle we want. Really a handy feature for doing oddball stuff. So we'll just go ahead and put it back in this natural position. There we go. course, you got the swivel over here as well. And lock it down. So, very nice. I like this. I like this. This is going to be a nice little vise. Well, there we go. Restoration of an Emmert 6A Toolmakers Vise. Going to be a nice little addition to the shop. I've got a place. I think I'm going to get this mounted up. I'm actually going to extend the workbench over here on this wall, and I put some tool cabinets up underneath it, give me some more storage, and I thought this would make a nice little place for that to go over here. Still got to get all that done, but that's on the list of things to do. But the good news is the vise is ready to mount to the bench as soon as we get that ready over there. Like I mentioned before, Emmert made this in two different sizes. They had the 4A and the 6A. This is the 6A, and kind of counterintuitive, but the 6A is the smaller of the two. The 4A is actually a little bit larger than this one. Both of these are fairly rare vices. You don't see a whole lot of them out there. You can stumble across them from time to time. Very neat little tool to have in the shop. Very handy universal tool, which is what Emmert vices specialized in. Their pattern makers vices would also twist around and rotate and turn to grip things in just about any possible direction. And their pattern makers vices, which were more woodworking vices, are highly regarded, highly sought after. This Toolmakers Vise was kind of the metalworking version on that, and they're probably even rarer than the Pattern Makers Vises. But glad to have one in the shop, and this is going to make a really nice addition. With that, guys, that is going to be a wrap. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments, greatly appreciated. Hit the bell icon up there to get notifications of when new videos are going to be posted to the channel. And guys, with that, we are going to sign off. As always, thanks for watching.